Well, hello, everyone. Good evening, good day. Well, we just had a storm, so I lost some power. Now the power is back. So, as promised, I am here. I know I'm late, and I know it's probably going to be like, all right, maybe one or two people will show up. But no matter what, I will do this and I will put the replay on whenever I can, and then I'm going to take it from there. So, since a lot of you guys are getting yourselves ready for the GED, and some of them are right around the corner because April 1st will be here before we know it, and I figured, let me hit on those concepts that will give you 4 points. So 4 points is the most that you can get from a problem. So I want to hit on those concepts and hit on them really hard. I have a total of 15. I'm going to see how many I can actually get through in our time span and just take it and run with it. All right, so here I go. So the first one deals with system of equations. So a system of equations is when you have two equations based on a situation and you really want to see where they cross, when they intersect. What would your solutions be? So here we have a car rental company offering 2 plans. So plan A, you get a flat fee of $50 plus 25 cents per mile. Plan B is a flat fee of $30 plus 50 cents per mile. So we're going to write and solve a system of equations to determine the number of miles where both plans cost the same. So this is crucial. Okay, we want to know when both of the plans are going to cost the same. So first off, my first expression, they're giving us $50 plus 25 cents per mile. And I'm going to use X as my miles. Okay, so you always should have some kind of representation. Now, for the second expression, there's a flat fee of $30 plus 50 cents per mile. So since we know both of the expressions and they said they want to know when both of the plans cost the same, so basically we want to set these two expressions equal to each other. So we're going to have our 50 plus our 25 cents per mile. And we're going to set it equal to 30 plus 50 cents per mile. All right? So by setting it up, we're going to be able to solve our equations for X. Okay? Because we want to know the number of miles where both of them are going to be the same. So we want to isolate our X. So I could subtract 0 and 25/100 X on both sides. So by doing that, I'm saying I want to put my X's on the right-hand side. So I can bring down my 50. I can bring down my equals and the 30. Now, 50 cents minus 25 cents, well, that is 25 cents. And it's going to be positive. So now I need to subtract 30. Because remember, the goal is to isolate our variable. Which this gives me 20 is equal to 0.25 X. Okay, so our goal is to isolate our variable. We really want to know what is going to be our unknown number. So now, since I'm multiplying 0.25x, I need to do the opposite. So I need to divide on both sides, so I can get my x by itself. So now, if I take my 20 and divide by 0.25, I'm going to get a total of 80. Okay? So, thank you, Muhammad. So, it's going to be 80, but 80 what? It will be 80 miles. So at 80 miles, both of the plans will be exactly the same. Okay? So that's how you set up your system. And majority of the time, they will always set it up for it to cost the same. So whatever you get for one expression, you're going to have it equal to the other expression. And then you're going to isolate your variable. You get the same answer if I subtracted the negative 50 cents, right? And then I would subtract the 50. So then I would get negatives, but a negative divided by a negative will give me my positive. All right? Okay. So systems of equations is going to be one of the things that you're going to be looking at when you're taking this GED. Now, I didn't want to pre-tape because I didn't know how much room I was actually going to be taking up. But let me get myself ready with this one. All right, good. I'm glad they're fun. I want it to be fun, but I also want it to be helpful. So make sure that we have everything that you need. So when you go after, either you're on the GED route, or if you're just kind of like, oh, I think I am, you know, whatever you want, that'll be amazing. Hey, Lynette, thank you. Aw, thanks. I know, I'm here late because we had a lovely storm and it knocked my power out. But I do as I say as I do. If I say I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here. Okay? All right. So now, and let me read it to you because I'm not sure if you'll be able to get everything. So a rectangle has a length that is 5 units more than twice its width. The perimeter of the rectangle is 46 units. First, we need to write an equation to represent the situation. Then we need to solve the equation to determine the length and width of the rectangle. And of course, we're going to explain our process and show all calculations. Now, if you're anything like me, I am a visual person. So the first thing I like to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle. Okay, a pair of two congruent sides. So they're saying that my length is 5 units more than twice the width. So if I don't know what the width is, I'm going to use W. And then the length is 5 units more than twice its width. So twice means 2 times. So that's 2W. More than, so that means the 5 is more than. So that's addition. It doesn't say is more than. If it said is more than, we're looking at inequalities. But since it just says more than, that's addition. Okay? And if you're not too sure, remember we got that in the back of our handy dandy notebook here. So looking at the terminology, so we have more than, which is right here, okay, compared to is more than. All right, so we're translating the verbiage into an algebraic expression. In this case, an equation. So if you know that this side is exactly the same as this side, and this side is exactly the same as the other side, right? So if we're finding the perimeter, that means I'm adding all the sides up. So most people will just say W plus W, 2W plus 5 plus 2W plus 5. You can do it that way. Or since I know that two sides are going to be exactly the same for W, I can say 2W. And since two sides are going to be exactly the same for the length, I can say 2 times 2W plus 5. And have that equal my perimeter, which they said is 46. Okay? So let me clean this part up. Let me actually distribute. So when I distribute, I'm going to have 2W plus 4W plus 10 equals 46. Because all I did was take the 2 and distribute. When you distribute, you multiply. So 2 times 2W gives us 4W. 2 times 5 gives us 10. All right. All right. Okay. All right. I know, Diana, they always have like questions like that, especially for system of equations about the tacos and the burritos, or it's always like, how many chocolate chips and nuts are you going to have in your trail mix? It's hilarious. It's always hilarious. All right. Now, let's tighten this up. 2W plus 4W gives me 6W. So I got 6W plus 10 equals 46. So we can use this as our equation. But now we're going to solve the equation to find the length and the width. So as you can tell, I'm actually going to solve for W. And W, that's my width. So I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides, which will give me 6W is equal to 36. Then we want to divide. 6W is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So this gives us W equals 6. So this is saying your width is equal to 6 units. We don't know what the units are, so we just usually put 6 units. So that's your width. Now remember, your length was basically 2 times the width plus 5. So since we already know what the width is, all we have to do is take the 6, plug it into the W. So we got 2 times 6 plus 5. 2 times 6 gives me 12, plus 5 will give me 17. So the length is 17 units. So your length is 17 units, and your width is 6 units. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Do they still teach PEMDAS? Yes, they do. Show harvest for. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you. I tried to be helpful. All right. Let's take a look. All right, good job, Muhammad. So glad you passed it. But there's a lot of people that haven't. So, gotta support as much as I can. All right, so that was a geometry one. So now we're going to get with a quadrilateral. Now, this is a quadrilateral word problem. So give me a moment to kind of tape it down. I'm going to be using a couple of pages today because I'm going to try my hardest to get like 15 problems done today. But if I don't get 15 problems done today, that's all right. I'll just save it for tomorrow night. Because I'd rather you understand what's going on instead of me rushing you through just so I can say, oh, okay, cool, everything's done, and check a box. I know everything's a little Cuckoo Johnson right now. All right. All right. So now, let me unzoom a bit, or a lot. Okay, so now we're looking at a quadratic equation. So, a ball is thrown upward with the initial velocity of 48 feet per second from the height of 10 feet. The height of the ball at time t seconds is modeled by a function. So we have h to the t equals negative 16t squared plus 48t plus 10. Okay, we need to determine the maximum height of the ball reaches and at what time does the ball reach this maximum height. So, here's the thing. What you are looking for anytime they're talking about maximum height, I notice my leading coefficient is negative. So that means my parabola is opening down like a frown. So I am going to get my maximum height. So at what time does the ball reach its maximum height? You notice they keep talking about the maximum height. Guess what they're talking about? They want to know the vertex. So your x value is going to tell you the time, whereas your y value is going to give you the actual height. So all we have to do is solve to find the vertex. So since it's in standard form, and I kind of did this earlier, we need to find our axis of symmetry. So if we have our x equals, okay, so it's our negative b over 2a. Okay, this should kind of sound familiar. Multiple ways. Okay, we did this before about a couple days ago. That's one. And then the second thing is this is your axis of symmetry when you're dealing with a quadratic function. Okay? So now, we have to figure out our A, our B, and our C. So remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. My A is the coefficient of the, in this case, t squared, which is negative 16. I'm going to put this here. So my A is negative 16. My B is the coefficient of the t, which is 48. And my C is the constant, which is a positive 10. So we're going to put this information into this formula. So we substitute just for the B, not the negative B, just the B. So that negative still stays out front. Now we have 2 times my A is negative 16. So if we take a look, we have a negative 48 divided by negative 32. And if I actually divide those two, it will give me a decimal, which is 1.5. Okay. Thank you so much for the likes and everything. Appreciate it. Okay. And sharing the lives. So if you know anybody that needs a quick review or would love to know what does a 4-point question on the GED look like, share the lives. Welcome them in. Okay. All right. Right. So right now the 10 isn't, because my 10 is my constant. Okay. So taking a look, you know the x value of your vertex, which is 1.5. Now we need our y value. So if I go into the original equation, okay, so instead of my function, I'm just going to make a y. So that's negative 16t squared, and we found the t. Okay, we found the t. So the t squared is that 1.5. Okay, so we're doing this to find our vertex. Our vertex, we need an x value, and then we need a y value. After we solve it by using the equation, negative b over 2a, we're going to take this 1.5 and substitute it in for our t value so we can figure out what our y for the vertex is. So 1.5 squared, that gives you 2.25. So we have negative 16 times 2.25. Okay, plus, so 48 times 1.5 gives me 72, and then tag along the plus 10. So now we want to multiply our negative 16 times 2.25, which gives us a negative 36, plus 72 plus 10. You see how it's getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. It's kind of reducing down. So we have negative 36 plus 72 plus 10. So that means it's a positive 36 plus 10. That'll give me a positive 46. Oops. I said 4 and I wrote 4. So you just found your vertex. So your vertex is 1.5 times 46. So now use this information to answer the questions. So determine the maximum height. So the maximum height is going up, right? What goes up is your y value. So your maximum height is going to be, if this is your maximum for the graph, your y value is going to be the maximum height, okay, that the ball reached. So we have 46. Okay, I'm not sure what the units are. Feet, sorry. And then when it asks at what time did the ball reach the maximum height, that's when you're looking at your x values. My x is 1.5, but 1.5 what? Hey, Leanne. Hello, Bill. Okay. So 1.5 seconds. Good. Thank you, Tamika. Okay. So 1.5 seconds. All right. So we explained ourselves. So we needed this negative b over 2a, plugged in what our b is, plugged in what our a was, do our multiplication and our reduction by just dividing. Then take your answer, plug it back into the original equation. That's where this came from. And then break it on down. So you got your exponents, you got your your multiplication, all right? Then you got multiplication here again, and you're combining your like terms. Okay. All right, so questions. Yeah, Leanne, don't worry, because I got here late. We had a storm and the lights went out. So, just making do, see who's here. What I'm doing is I'm taking some of the most concepts that they use as a 4-point question on the GED. So I'm just kind of randomly going through some problems, just to make sure everyone is okay. This is what I do. Sometimes it's exhausting, but I do it because if not me, who? Oh, there's probably other people. I know there's other people. Like my friend Evelyn on Impact Math 19, she does awesome stuff. I try to give props when props is due. When people do awesome work, I will be your biggest cheerleader. All right. I know it's like there's a lot of tape going on around here. Yeah, I do have the lights back on. That's how I'm able to come and do live. But I just remember I said that I was going to be live, and here I am. I do as I say, and I say as I do. So I try not to give anybody any fluff. Yes, all is well. I mean, it was just, we know when the power goes out, the Wi-Fi usually takes forever to come back on. But we're all good. All good. The cats are good. Right now, they're just, I want to get outside and do cat stuff. I was like, all right, good. But that means I got to take care of you when you get back in here. It's craziness. Anyway, my life. So, for the next one. All right. A bakery makes 2 types of cookies, chocolate chip and oatmeal raisin. Last week, they sold 200 cookies. The ratio of chocolate chip to oatmeal raisin cookies sold was 3-2. So now, when you see a problem like this, they're probably asking you, because they always do. It just didn't put it on here this time. But they're probably asking you, how many cookies is that? Okay? Anytime you get a ratio, okay, any kind of ratio or proportions type thing, you always want to remember it's the part over the whole. Okay, it's the part over the whole. So my ratio, the first one is chocolate chip because it says chocolate chip to oatmeal raisin. The colon is representing the 2. So that means 3 are the chocolate chip and 2 is the oatmeal raisin. But it's 3, so I'm going to say CC for chocolate chip. So it's 3 out of what? That's the key part. 3 out of what? Okay? 200 is the total. But when it comes to the ratio, 3 out of what? because the 200 we are going to do something with. Okay? Not out of 2. You're thinking out of the total. Out of the total. So it's 3 is the part out of the whole thing. Basically, what's 3 plus 2? 5. Yes. What was that? 29. Okay? Okay? So 3 is part out of the whole ratio. So the whole ratio is 3 plus 2, which gives me 5. So we're looking at 3 out of 5, okay, type of ratio. But we are, like you said, going to multiply this by the 200. Okay, so we're saying that 3/5 out of the 200 is chocolate chip. So I kind of like doing this thing called cross simplifying. So I know if I cross simplify the 200 with the 5, it's basically saying what's 200 divided by 5. So 200 divided by 5 is what? Okay, thank you, Tamika. So it's going to be 40, because 20 divided by 5 is 4, and then you have your other 0. So now you can multiply. 3 times 40 gives us 120. Now, if you don't like that way, we can do it this way. We can say 3/5 times the 200. And remember, when you multiply a fraction with a whole number, you can make that whole number into a fraction. And then multiply the numerators, which will give me 600. And then multiply the denominators, which will give me 5. Then you just divide 600 divided by 5, which gives us 120, which, if you notice, is exactly the same answer that we got before. Yes. Hey, Lisa. Okay. So that's with the chocolate chips, chocolate chip cookies. So let's think about this for a second. Okay, we could do the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick. We could do the same thing for the oatmeal raisins. So I'm just gonna say OR, right, for oatmeal raisin. So we could set it up with the part over the whole. So their part for the oatmeal raisin is 2 out of the total, which is 5. And you're taking 2/5 out of 200. You could do it this way, right? So 2 times 200 gives me 400. And 5 times 1 gives me 5. So 400 divided by 5, that will give me 80. Right? Good night. All right. So we can do it that way. Or, hello, we know that 120 of them are chocolate chip cookies. They sold 200 cookies. Couldn't we just do 200 minus 80? Or 200 minus 120? That would make more sense. Since we found the 120. Okay. So depending on the hardest part that you have to do first is to change that ratio into your part over the whole and then multiply by the total number of cookies. Okay? So this is called proportions. And this is one of those couple 4-point questions that happens on the GED. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what does a 4-point question look like. Okay? Questions on that? Okay, so we're all good? Okay. All right, let me do a few more. It's gonna be like a 2-pager. All right. So, another one. I feel like DJ Khaled every time I say that. Another one. Okay. Whew. It has been an exhausting day. I hope you guys had a good day. Mine was good and productive, but it's exhausting at the same time. All right. So, here we go for the next one. So what we have is a community center charges $5 per hour to rent a room plus a one-time setup fee of $20. Your budget for the rental is no more than $50. So when I see no more than, I'm thinking of an inequality. Okay, especially when it says is no more than. Okay, so if it's no more than, that means the 50 is the highest that I can go. I can get less than 50, but the highest I can go is 50. So we're saying it's going to be less than or equal to, because it says no more than 50, but it didn't say it couldn't equal 50. Okay? So now we're doing $5 per hour. Okay, I'm going to say X is going to represent my hours. Okay, plus a one-time setup fee. So that's just a one-time thing. So if we set this up, we have 5X plus the one-time setup fee, which is 20. And it says no more than $50. So that's less than or equal to 50. So we have an inequality that we want to solve. Okay. So when we do this, we're going to subtract 20 on both sides. So then we have 5X is less than or equal to 30. Then divide both sides by 5. And since we divided by a positive number, my inequality stays the same. The sign stays the same. So now 30 divided by 5 gives me 6. But no more than 6 what? 6 hours. So no more than 6 hours. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm touching on the 4-point questions, the topics of the 4-point questions that you will see if you're taking your GED. So I just wanted to do that. Because since a lot of you guys are about to take your test either next week or the week after. Okay. Which I'm so proud of you guys for doing, because I know it's not easy. It's not easy. When everybody's like, yeah, I want to take a gap year, trust me, that year is going to turn into years. Okay, but I understand. You know, sometimes when we graduate from things, we don't know what we want to do. So there's nothing wrong with going out and exploring life. But make sure you can take some of that experience and transform it into something great. All right. So now for the next one. We're looking at an investment. So a compound, because since it says compounded annually, so you invested $1,000 in the account that earns 5% annual interest, compounded annually. After 3 years, what is the total amount in the account? So the formula that we're going to use is like the full amount. We have our principal times 1 plus our rate as a decimal, and we're going to raise it to your time. Okay. I know. Go ahead, Leanne. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, so you have a great night. Thank you. I know, I really did come on here a little late. I think I might be able to do, I'm going to try for this one and possibly another. And then we're going to call it a night. And then I'll try to continue on for the next time. All right. So your P is the starting amount. That's how much is in the account. And since it is growth, because it's compounded, we're looking at a positive interest. We need to change this rate as a percent to a full-on decimal. So that means I need to move it over 1, 2 0 places. So 0.05, that's what it is as a true decimal. And it's raised to the third power because it said after 3 years. Okay, so it's compounded annually, so we don't have to do the ends for ones. It's not necessary. So, doing what's inside the parenthesis, we got our 1,000. Then you have 1.05 raised to the third power. So doing our exponent, so 1.05 raised to the third power, and we're going to multiply that to 1,000. So we got our 1,000 times 1.157625. So if you multiply by 1,000, that means it went over 1, 2, 3. So we're looking at $1,157. And if I round it, because cents doesn't have 3 decimal places, if I round this will be 63 cents. Okay, good. Yeah, 0.05, nice. All right. Okay, so these type of questions are like the 4-point questions that you will actually see in your GED. Okay? You want to shoot for those. Try to get as many of these done. Because the more of those and then the arithmetic ones, you'll pass that test. Definitely. All right. Let's go with one more. And then we'll call it a night. Actually, I don't even know why I'm saying I'm calling it a night. I'm just going to go straight to the gym from here. I don't have time during the day to do it, so. And especially, it's awesome around this time of night. It's like, ugh, don't have to worry about anybody bothering you, hogging up the machines. It's kind of nice. All right. So now we have a right triangle. So we have a right triangle has one leg that's 8 centimeters long, another leg that's 15 centimeters long. Calculate the length of the hypotenuse. Show all steps using Pythagorean theorem. Okay. So we have, here's one leg. Here's the hypotenuse. Here's the other leg. So they're saying one is 8 centimeters. Another is 15 centimeters. And they want us to find the hypotenuse. Okay. So Pythagorean's theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Yes. So you got the square root of 289. What's the square root of 289? There you go. So we have our 8 squared plus our 15 squared. It doesn't matter which goes in for A and which goes in for B when it comes to the legs. That's perfectly fine. But your hypotenuse will always be your C. So now you got 64. 218? No, 225. What am I thinking of? So then this will give us our 289. And in order for us to get rid of the square, I have to do the inverse, which is square root. And the square root of 289 gives us our 17. So that means it's 17 centimeters long. All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit loopy. Hello, Bridget. Nice. All right, so these are the type of questions that are considered 4-point questions on the GED. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap up because I'm tired. And I love the fact that 19 people, maybe plus a little bit more, has stopped by to come and see me, which is awesome. Thank you. I mean, I greatly appreciate that. All right, so if you like the status of my book that we want to keep in here, actually, let me, where'd my pen go? Let's go part 2. GED 4-point practice. And so it was 31. Guys, like tomorrow's the 1st of April. Like, seriously? Yes, good night. Good night, good night, good night. Okay, so if you do like my notebook, Okay, we'll be filling most of the stuff up. I also have it on sale on Amazon. Soon enough, as soon as I get a moment, I'm going to actually copy a lot of my notes and put it on my website for sale. So if you actually want copies of my notes, they will be there. Now, if you're like, Audrey, I can't afford to buy anything for you, but I really want to support you, you can go to my Google review. Just go to Google review or just type in ACG Math Tutoring as a search, and then just go ahead and write a review. Also, I am putting a lot of the replays on my YouTube channel. So if you can, come and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You know, it's under Audrey Codner, which is my name, ACG Math Tutoring. And then I just released my new schedule, and right now it looks like I'm basically going to be here like around 9:30. Okay, 9:30, because I'm starting to get clients, and yeah, they're taking my late shows. So it looks like probably like around 9 to 9:30, but I'm shooting for the 9:30, just in case some of my sessions go long. So that is going to be from Monday through Thursday. Fridays, I will still be at my 1 p.m. time slot. And then Saturday and Sunday is going to be a wild card. You know, whenever I'm like, okay, I have a moment and I can do it, I get to do it. Okay? But definitely Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. I'm going to try to sneak in a 1 a.m. on Thursday, but I doubt it. I think I have a client now during that time. So, try my best to get out here, to get in here. Okay, good. I'm glad this helped. I'm so glad that this helped. And just like keep pushing, keep being encouraging. So I will be here tomorrow night. I swear it's going to be a lot earlier. And we're going to finish up the rest of these so we can move on to arithmetic and geometric sequencing. Okay, got to make sure I get into that. And also exponential growth and decay. I definitely want to get into that as well as going from exponential to logarithmic and vice versa. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping by. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care. Bye now.